This video is brought to you by Shopmech. With Shopmech, you can easily find the keyboard parts you want from a huge catalog without having to jump around multiple stores. Keycaps, switches, plates, PCBs, boards, accessories, desk mats, cables, and more are all in a single centralized site. This is great for browsing as a beginner, but also an excellent place for anyone to get inspiration for new builds. Additionally, with the launch of the new keyboard builder, you can plan out all the parts for your build and even check compatibility exactly like you would in PC Part Picker. Check the link in the description for more information. Welcome back to Near Lucid. Today we'll be taking a look at the Ciel, a 60% board based on the Bakeneko, a well-received budget option in the hobby. This proto unit was sent to us for review, but as always that will not affect our opinion or statements in any way. Let's get to the unboxing. I have some extra parts here that won't be included with the group buy version. Group buy units will come in shipping boxes like this, with slight variations depending on the vendor. When the goal is cutting down costs as much as possible, I don't personally mind, especially since there is a lot of protective foam included. First is a daughter board and its screws, JST cable, and two different sizes of O-rings. Only one will be included in the group buy units. Next is the board itself. After this are the two PCBs, one hot swap and one soldered, each with their own JST cable. Of course, I'll be using hot swap. Finally, we have the two plates. These are both aluminum. One is a prototype 6061 and the other is 5052, which was the finalized design. The group buy units will only include the finalized plate design, except in 6061 aluminum. Let's talk about some basic specs. So this is an aluminum O-ring gasket 60% keyboard, offering both soldered and hot swap PCBs that support Sangan bottom, split right shift, split backspace, and stepped caps. The only notable differences from the Bakeneko are slight changes to the back profile, absence of the bottom engraving, and the addition of an internal brass weight, which should make it feel much more premium. The USB-C port is centered, recessed, and does use a daughter board. An aluminum plate and hot swap PCB are included, but there are F44 plate extras and soldered PCBs that are going to be sold at the same time as the group buy, which is likely right now. Colors available are burgundy, blue-gray, pinkish lavender, black, and e-white. And since this is the Bakeneko we're talking about, the price is a modest $180 and $190 for e-white. Today we have a burgundy Ciel with an aluminum plate and a hot swap PCB to build. Now for assembly. I've already installed some Duroc V2 stabilizers, lubed with 205 grade 0 and XHT BDC. For the switches, we're going to use alpacas, just because I have some lying around and I think it would be a good idea to test some pretty standard JWK linears first. I also don't expect this board to be very flexy or deep because of the aluminum plate, so I want to commit fully to the clacky high-pitched sound. These are 62 grams and have a polycarb top, nylon bottom, and palm stem. For keycaps, I'm going to use GMK white on black. It's basically the only thing I own that will match with this really nice burgundy color and should help it pop out quite a bit. As for the layout, I'm opting for a 7U spacebar and a split right shift. This is not only a great beginner option because of price, but also because of its quick and easy assembly. So I've actually never worked with an O-ring mount before, and it's quite a unique concept. After putting together the inner assembly, we wrap this single large O-ring around the edge of it. All we need to do to get the inner assembly into the case is installing the O-ring and pushing the inner assembly in. This makes the entire assembly friction fit into the case, making it super easy to take out and mod. And with the only contact points in the case being the ring itself, there should be a ton of room for flex, but also hollowness since the inner assembly is very acoustically isolated. The O-ring is a little bit finicky around the backspace tab and sometimes doesn't want to stay down, so I would recommend inserting the top and then pushing the bottom of the inner assembly. Let's take a listen. Really nice and poppy, but also really quiet. There's also quite a bit of hollow sound, especially if you pick up the board and type on it, but this is already a known issue with the Bakeneko, and if it really bothers you, you can use a desk mat and put some foam under the PCB. Tape modding also helps with the hollowness a little bit, but not significantly. Even though this is O-ring mounted, it's still pretty stiff because of the aluminum plate. If you really push on it, you can see the flex, but this won't be something noticeable if you're typing on it daily. Of course, if you prefer the softer feel, pick up an FR4 plate extra alongside the board. The design is incredibly basic, and of course this is a cost-cutting measure. The entire board is a single piece of aluminum, with the bottom half being angled and slightly embedded within the left and right bezels. On the back, we have the recessed USB port, and the bottom half is angled inward, which I like. There isn't an engraving on the bottom like the Bakeneko. The only engraving in the Group I version is a simple cloud on the internal weight, which isn't on my prototype unit. This is kinda strange, considering most boards, even super budget options like the NK65 would have at least some sort of outside branding. I would prefer to see at least a simple logo on the bottom. Though there are recessions for feet here, my packaging didn't include any, so I would just pick some up on Amazon. I also suggest picking a keycap set that's pretty saturated or bright, just so the build doesn't look incredibly boring like mine. Getting nitpicky with the actual material quality, I think the Anno is great and really consistent looking across the entire board. I only had one scuff on the exterior, and since this is a proto, I'd presume it's because of the handling by the people that had the unit before me. There shouldn't be any scuffs of this size on a production unit. Additionally, if you prefer hot swap, I would consider the Ciel over the Bakeneko simply because the Ciel hot swap PCB has multi-layout support, while the Kaneki's Bakeneko PCB does not. So with the Bakeneko at $120 already being quite a steal, the Ciel simply bumps this bar up a little bit by adding some premium feeling heft and a slightly altered design. If you're in the market for a budget board with a pleasant feel, clacky sound signature, and easy assembly, the Ciel is definitely it. Thanks for watching this episode of Near Lucid. If you liked this video, drop a thumbs up. If you have feedback or questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. We'd be more than happy to answer. Also, these videos take lots of work, and by subscribing, you're letting us know that you want us to keep making them. That's all for this video. I'll see you guys later.